We do have a team in the East. It doesn't have to make too much movement. And we've got a watch for Ovechkin to top the great. What do you think is going to take place there? I mean, who comes back from a break and puts up a hat trick?
Yeah. Well, he had an appetizer on Saturday in Pittsburgh. I watched him, and he it was one of those battles on Saturday. Like, it just wasn't going for him. His team put up 8, and I don't even think he had a point in Pittsburgh on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. But you're looking at it. I mean, this is one record case that when I looked at it, I was like, well, like, wow. I mean, is anybody going to ever get to this? And I never thought it would. Like, I thought that Mario Lemieux had a chance on the path that he was on, obviously. And look at Mario had back issues. He was battling cancer at one point, but he was on a trajectory to be zeroing in on Gretz's record. And obviously he fell short, but what Alexander Ovechkin has been able to do, and I made this point, I'm going to say probably 8 years ago, that I felt that Alexander Ovechkin really evolved as a player when he became much more selective in his physical confrontation. So if I take a step back, like, Ovi's always been the type of player to either try to go around you, go through you, and you run you through the end boards into the third or fourth row whenever the opportunity presented itself. He really never bypassed contact. And I think he realized as he was getting a little bit older that he would be able to save a little bit more energy and conserve some energy if he just was selective. And he didn't get into those heavy battles that he always seemed to be right in the middle of. And you loved him for it. But I think what it's done now with him bypassing contact and being much more selective, there is no doubt in my mind, having played in the league as long as I did for 16 years, is that takes its toll. And he has been so much more selective here, I believe, over the last 8 years or so, that it has allowed him to be a little bit more fresher playing, and also on the offensive game, and having a little bit more energy. So when you put it all into the blender again, you get a guy that is obviously dynamic when he shoots the puck. He's dynamic when he is selective on being physical, but he's hungry, and his team is hungry. And I think that they set out a goal this year as a team, is that they're going to have the best year of their life, and they were going to get Ovi as close to or at the record this year. And I think they've rallied around this cry of getting Alexander Ovechkin to become, the greatest goaltender or the greatest goal scorer in the history of the National Hockey League. So to be within an arm's reach now of the great one is just absolutely an unbelievable feat. And this is the story. There is no doubt. I know the Four Nations is still at the forefront for a lot of people, but no doubt in the National Hockey League is when he gets within 3, 4, and 5. This is. I mean, you're talking about greatness, and we know he's the great 8. But I mean, this is the ultimate, because Wayne Gretzky pretty much has every record, as you know, Kasey, is anyone that's ever played in the National Hockey League. And to see Alexander Ovechkin on the verge is something that I know that I really never thought would happen, and here we are. So you never say never. I learned that a long time ago, but maybe I just thought that seeing that number of Gretz at 892 all these years is just like, how's anybody going to get there? And here we are, where Ovi is. He's on the doorstep. I don't know if he's knocking on the door yet this year, but he's right there. That's for sure.
That was going to be my question. Do you think that he captures? Does the 8 catch up with the great this season? And do we get a poetic one-timer to seal the deal?
I will promise you this. It will not be an empty net goal.
Thank you. Okay. As long as not.
Just knowing Alexander Ovechkin, a bit, I think he has great admiration and history for the National Hockey League. Is that if he's going to tie it, I think it's going to be on a legit goal. Now, look, a goal is a goal in the NHL. Let's make that perfectly clear. They're all important. But I think for him to tie it, I think there's no doubt it will be a with a goaltender in. I'll just say that it'll be. I don't know how he'll score, but it'll be a goaltender in. And I think whenever that is if he indeed he does, he is able to break it. I will. I'm not one of those type of guys that guarantees stuff, but I would be highly disappointed if he broke the record and there wasn't a goaltender physically within about 3 or 4 feet in the net. Now, if the goaltender gets beat out of his hockey pants, Kasey, then that's a different story. But I think you know where I'm going here. I think that it won't be an empty net goal with both goaltenders sitting on the bench for the opponent.